Welcome back to the Zach Jello YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys are doing well on this Friday. Joining me today, we've seen a lot of each other this week, haven't we, boys? Henry Hill and Patrick Van Straten. And the reason why we've seen a lot of each other this week is going to be revealed as the weeks go by of December. But Henners, how you doing?
We're in a thruple. That's it. That's the
Finally.
truth. Yeah. Your two favourite men.
We turn up together every morning, but we delay walking in. We do it all separately to convince them we've come from different houses.
Pat will never admit this. He will never say it back. But it is very nice to see you as frequently as I do. Because
Why would I not say that back?
well, I think
I might not mean it. No. It is nice. I think we have fun on this. I enjoy doing this every week. It's like very easy. Well, except for today when we've got two to shoot.
Yeah, we do.
when
very easy.
FD ended, in my head I was like, "There's a chance I see Pat like once a year." Going forward
That would have been good.
and yet it's been almost the opposite. So yeah.
Well, I am very pleased to see you guys so regularly. If you guys want to see more of us, though, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Zach Jello YouTube channel, and like the video and leave a comment. Now, as you guys can see by the title of today's video, how to fix Manchester City. Now, I know they won midweek. They beat Nottingham Forest. However, issues are still at hand. Defensively, they don't look very good. And so what we're going to do is go through the Manchester City squad. We're going to talk about a possible transfer budget, some of the issues, what they need to do, who they need to bring in to help fix them. Obviously, Pep Guardiola signed a new deal for 2 more years, so he's going to be there. We don't really need to talk about, I guess...
Was it 2 more? I thought it was just 1 more.
I think it was 2 more. 2 more. Yeah, 2 more seasons. So we don't really need to look at possibly a new manager. We'll give that at least another year beforehand. I guess Ruben Amorim was supposedly one of the guys they were interested in, but now he's at the other Manchester club. But firstly, guys, I want to talk about the squad, because that's probably the best place to start. I'll go through the squad, and we can talk about whether we want to sell them, whether we want to give them a new contract, or possibly you think it's a really good idea to give them an extension if they are close to the end. And then whoever we sell, I'll write down it and we can add that to the transfer budget of who we're going to try and buy later on. And let's start off in goal. I mean, the Scott Carson is just very much he's an English player.
We're going that granular, are we?
We won't touch him.
I think we can skip that.
Yeah, we'll skip him. But the other two, Stefan Ortega and Ederson. Ortega's actually in the net at the moment for Man City. Ederson's been dropped for the last 2 games by Pep Guardiola. Ederson's contract and Ortega's contract ends at the end of the 2026 season, so next season. They've both got 1 more year left. What do we make of it? Is that a position we think City need to probably start looking at, Pat?
Yes. Like if their contracts are both up in 2026, I'm happy to keep Ortega and just keep him around as the backup and then sign a new backup in 2026. But year left on his deal. Ederson, I would consider letting him go next summer. Yeah, I think there are. I think
Saudi
there are
rumours, aren't there?
There are Saudi rumours. I think that you can probably get decent money for him, at least enough to cover a replacement. I don't think that young goalkeepers are as hard to find as they used to be. It used to be really, really hard to find a keeper who could do what Ederson does, and Ederson is still outstanding as a passer. Like, he is still one of the best, but you could get somebody who can do 70-75% of what he does, and actually who may be a slightly less clanger prone goalkeeper.
Yeah, he does.
Like, those guys are out there. So I don't know. I just think that this is probably something that you do. On the other hand, it depends how much turnover we're talking about. It's one of those things where if we get down this list and we're talking loads and loads of turnover, I don't think you want to change 4 or 5 starters in a summer. And realistically, Kyle Walker is going. De Bruyne is not going to be a starter anymore, like just on fitness terms.
Yeah.
Like, there are going to be a load of different positions here changing over. And I think going from one season to the next with like 4 or 5 positions completely changing is a lot of instability for a squad. So I would tentatively say, yes, let's sell Ederson, either if the money's crazy or if, our squad is more stable than we expect.
Al Nassr last year, Henry, offered, I think it was around £25 million for him.
They went double
in their first bid. And City supposedly wanted 42 million last summer.
I think there's going to be a relaxing of those kind of principles now. I was thinking about Bernardo Silva and how much they used to ask. The rumours always used to say 70 million from Atletico now. If what they're saying is he's one of the 6 players that Pep's essentially been told, you need to cycle through this squad now, I'll be intrigued to, because let's ultimately remember, money isn't a huge object
for City
to them. Like, I'm genuinely intrigued to see how much money they'll spend this summer. I think it could be.
You don't think in January they might spend a lot?
Yeah, but it's hard.
Yeah, I think we'll spend a lot in January.
But it's hard.
It is tough. It's a tough market in January, but they need it.
One of their main targets apparently is Edison at Atalanta, for example.
Good player.
Atalanta are currently on the charge for a Scudetto. It's going to take an awful lot of money for them to go, oh yeah, we'll give up one of our best players. Like, Atalanta have a genuine shot at winning Serie A this year, and they're doing pretty well in the Champions League too. Anyway, not to get away from it, I'm with Pat on this one. Yes, I think the keeper position could be changed. I don't think it's as urgent as possible. But I do look at like someone like Mike Maignan at AC Milan, one of the best keepers in the world. Milan aren't really going anywhere fast at the moment. And obviously they won the league, but they've stagnated a few years ago, but they've stagnated a little bit. His contract is coming to an end soon. City's wage ability is way higher than AC Milan's. So if I was them and I was looking, I'm not all about getting like a 23-year-old goalkeeper in. I think at this point you can get a
especially
30-year-old
that position is somewhere you can go a little bit younger, a little bit older.
Yeah, like look at Inter. Like Inter kind of said goodbye to Handanovic, had Onana for a couple of seasons. He left, they got in Jan Sommer. Like, these guys aren't like... Onana could have been there for a while, but it's not like they're, permanent replacements. They're just... You're fine for a couple of years until the right guy becomes available.
Yeah. So Mike Magnan's like the most punchy suggestion I'd go for in goal. But if they're genuinely serious about getting a world-class goalkeeper in again, and I think Ortega's pretty good. I think he's actually fine as a number two, even like for a year.
Who's the Porto keeper? He's always been rumoured about. Diego Costa.
Diego Costa. Sure.
He's always been rumoured about, hasn't he?
Sure. But I mean, I don't know how much he'll ever go for. I think it's one of those where it was like 60 million, then 50 million, 40 million. But yeah, he's an option. I think Mike Maignan is like the top level option. So yeah, there are a few keepers out there.
Verbruggen, and like he's young. There's Alexander Nubel who's still around. Like there are these players. Like it's again, I just think it's a better market than it used to be for goalkeepers.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll put tentatively. I'm going to put tentatively that Edison will sell for 20 million.
Yeah, there's a price dependent.
Okay, but we'll go through the rest of the squad. You might actually decide we'll keep Edison.
Yeah, if someone's going to give you like 15 mil, you say no, we'll just keep him.
All right, so we're going to go through the defenders and look at Ruben Diaz, whose contract ends in 2027. So we've got a couple more seasons with him. He's 27 years old.
Keep him.
Definitely. Manuel Akanji, 29 now. Also 2027, his contract ends.
That's fine.
Cool, I'm happy with that. Nathan Ake, obviously looks like he picked up an injury against Forest, possibly another one added to the list. His injury history hasn't been amazing at City. He is also 29 years old and contract ending in 2027.
29? Jesus.
Yeah, obviously he's a versatile defender for us, can play left back, can play centre back. He's done it at DM a few times.
I'm not messing with guys. Like, he's got 2 years left in his deal. He's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Like, it's
unless there was a crazy offer for someone like him, you'd...
It's just not like there's going to be so much work to do. Like, let's not make extra work for ourselves.
Okay.
Like, you just can't do all of this in like one and a half windows, because the January window is a half window.
Yeah.
Like, why would you try and move Ake on when like he is an established senior player who was with you when you won a treble? Like, just keep those guys. It's fine.
I'm happy with that. John Stones, 30 years old, contract ending in 2026. Obviously, his injury issues are well known about.
I think they would entertain
a bid
from abroad if it came in, or from someone else, maybe a Europa League, Premier League club.
Because he's also on big wages as well. He's on big wages for us. That's something I think maybe, again, you don't sell him in January, but come the summer, if a bid comes in, I don't think it's the worst idea.
If a bid comes in, yes. But like, but if his contract was just going to expire in 2026, I would probably give him another couple of years.
Okay.
Like, because when you factor in signing a new player, you've got to do transfer fee, agent fees, and signing bonus, and then their wages. It's almost always much more expensive to sign a new player, even on lower wages, than it is to keep a guy you've got on high wages.
Yeah.
I don't know. He does get paid an awful lot. So like, if he left, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But again, it's just not.
It's don't make another extra. But then
it's just not a topmost thought in my mind. Like, can we move on John Stones? Like, yeah. If somebody comes in for a bid, I just don't know who that would be. Like, who's going to come in with a big money bid for John Stones?
I was just wondering about, say, like, if say Everton ever sold Branthwaite and they were like, oh, who's someone that we could go back in
They don't have enough money to like make it interesting. I don't know. That said, I wouldn't charge that much. If you came in and you were like, here's 20 mil for John Stones, I probably would think, 20 mil versus losing him on a free at the end of the season, having paid him probably 20 mil over the course of the season. Yeah, okay.
I know it sounds a bit silly, but I can honestly see him going to either Italy or like even America.
MLS
at the end of his contract. I can see the MLS being.
It's kind of jumped to me.
Really good at like Inter.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
He'd actually be great.
Stick him in a back three.
It's kind of jumped on me that he's 30. It's kind of come out of nowhere for some reason. I've always probably thought like he's 27 or something. Okay, again, another player that if we were able to get a little bit of money from him in the summer, we'd move him on. Obviously, we've got a couple of academy kids here, but more than happy to, I think, at least have them around the squad. Josko Gvardiol, 2028, absolutely fine. Not going to even touch on him. Rico Lewis, 20, his contract till 2028. More than happy with keeping him. Yep. Kyle Walker.
No, he's gone.
2026, his contract ends. Are we going to try and sell him before that?
I don't even think at this point.
34 years old.
I think it's just a case that they've
huge
probably just
wages.
moved him on. Well,
who buys Kyle Walker?
Exactly. If you can sell him, you sell him. But I don't think you're going to be able to sell him. So I would just let his contract run. Like honestly, I think that if you. We're going to talk about it in a bit, but if you try and bulk up your fullback slots, then I think that Kyle Walker can play key games in the Champions League and still be really good, rather than trying to start Kyle Walker all the time. Or he just ages into a right-sided centre-back in a back three. Then somebody else might have a use for him. But realistically, I think Kyle Walker, if he leaves, will leave on a free in 2026.
Yeah, I just can't imagine a team giving us money for him. I really can't.
I think when it comes to choosing players, though, we have to factor in as if he's not part of the.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah. Squad planning, Kyle Walker's not there for us, really.
Yeah,
sure.
Unless he is
agreed
on a worldie. Rodri, obviously, he's injured at the moment, but his contract's till 2027. I think absolutely fine. Let's make sure we keep him. Arguable that maybe he should even sign a contract extension sometime soon. Mateus Nunes, contract until 2028, 26 years old.
Problem is he has been playing recently, but he's also been playing during their downfall.
Yeah, and he's also been playing.
I think there is a good player there, but he's very much a squad player there. And the second they bring in reinforcements, he's being relegated to the bench once again.
I think there's another club for him somewhere that would offer money for him. Fine money.
And if you can find that club, you should sell him.
I don't think it's going to be 50 million. I think it'll be like 35.
I was thinking, that'd be good. Around that. I'm happy to say, okay, we're saying 35. Let's be honest, someone's causing us a little bit of issues. We'll go 30.
He is genuinely.
Will we sell him for 30?
He's genuinely not good enough for Manchester City. And if you can say, oh, look, he's played for Manchester City and that gets him going somewhere else, then great.
He only had about half a good season at Wolves.
Yeah.
He only started trying when he realised big teams might want to buy him.
Okay, so I'm going to give an extra 30 million in the kitty from Mateus Nunes being sold. So we've currently sold Ederson and Nunes at the moment. Mateo Kovacic, he's now 30 years old. 2027 his contract is until. I'm happy with him.
Let it run.
Yeah.
Let it run.
Ilkay Gundogan, his contract ends at the end of this season.
I think the general feeling is bringing him back has not been a success.
Yeah. It's not been a good homecoming, has it?
It's not been good. I think you have to move away from Gundogan.
Yeah, we're not gonna give him a new contract extension. Sorry.
Save those wages.
Okay. Bernardo Silva, he's now 30, contract until 2026.
I think sell him.
I think there is a team that would buy him.
I would definitely sell him.
You'd sell him. Okay.
100%. He's on massive wages.
He is, yeah.
He's been less important this season than ever before. He's one of those guys as well who I think would be less useful for a non-Pep manager than he is for Pep. Mm-hmm. Like Pep has used him in so many different ways that another manager just never would.
Yeah.
Like he's used him as a 6, he's used him up front. Like no manager is getting that value out of him. He's a good player, but like energy has been such an important part of his skill set over the years that now he's 30 is going to start to wane. To me, he's like a perfect sell him to Atleti, sell him to Italy.
Yeah. Atleti, with Griezmann now, 34, whatever, I can see them just basically phasing Griezmann out.
See if Barca are still interested. They were interested
keep Bernardo Silva in that hole behind the striker for a few years.
And he'd be good.
He would be good.
Okay, I'm happy to sell him here. How much do we think we're going to get here? Because let me have a look at what Atletico Madrid were looking at.
£35 million.
Yeah, I reckon 35.
Really?
They'll ask for more,
I think that's
they'll ask for more, and maybe they'll get more. But like realistically, he is no longer. I just don't think he's worth.
He's been umming and ahhing about leaving.
No,
as well
he has.
For
You
years.
are right.
And I think there'll be an honest conversation. He'll say, "Look, obviously this is the time to go. Let's be real about this." He's given so much to the club. I don't think he even cost like a bomb when they bought him in originally.
He's like 50.
Was it 50? Well, I think value for money, they've got more than.
Oh, without doubt. He's been unbelievable. All right, Bernardo Silva, 35 million. I'm happy.
He's also got a year left on his deal. Like realistically, if you're asking for 50,
Oh, they're not getting that. Yeah.
So you're just going to say no. So you should say like, if you can get 40, I think 40 should be like, if we get 40, we're really happy.
What, a year left on the deal? 40 million?
No, then you'd be really happy. But that's what. But like
I'll
somebody
put
comes
35 down.
But somebody comes in, makes a bid for him, and they bid like 25. You say 45, and you expect to meet 35.
I didn't Barca like offer them something like 70 million a few years
and PSG
ago?
as well.
Yeah, and PSG.
But he was still really important to them.
He was. Okay, big one here. KDB. Are we giving Kevin De Bruyne a new contract?
Does his contract run out?
Runs out this season, 2025. Because we have a Kevin De Bruyne now.
Better with him.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think this is the big bold decision, really. It depends.
We're already getting rid of Silva.
It depends on who you're going to get. Like, because you need a ready-made. Yeah, but I mean, there's one name that I'm going to say. What do you reckon, Pat? I think. I mean,
would he accept 2 years? We can offer him a 2-year deal.
Him and Pep don't seem to always be on the same wavelength. Like, De Bruyne is he's got very strong ideas about what should be going on. And
look, we've given Pep a 2-year deal. Look, we've got to remember he's the highest paid player in the year, in the league. 500k a week, basically.
That is a lot of money.
We can't be offering him 500k a week again. That's just, he doesn't play enough games for that to happen.
Exactly. Like max, what you want to give him is probably a 1+1 contract.
Yeah.
At like half what he's earning. So I offer him that, and if he says no, I'm like, bye. Like honestly, I'm just like I'll give you I think he would say no. I think he does say no, but that's fine. Like if he says no, you say at a certain point you've got to say this is our evaluation of what you can give us and what you're worth to us. If what you're asking for is more than that, then we have to say no.
Yeah.
So I think with him, he barely played last season. He played under 1,000 minutes in the league. He'll probably end up barely playing this season, but maybe he doesn't. Maybe by the end, maybe he's now just fit for the rest of the season, and City are great, and maybe they win the league, and maybe they don't, but they're like good. Who knows? In that case, like sure you can keep him, but I think you've got to be thinking now about like the next generation of City, and then there are so many other questions that come into the De Bruyne thing. Yeah. Like, is Foden your starting attacking midfielder going forward?
No,
because if he is, you need to think about your wingers. If he isn't, and he's going to start on the right, then I don't really know what you do with Savio, and I still have question marks about Doku. Like, or maybe you say, right, Grealish is going to run the game.
Yeah.
Like De Bruyne has. He can burst through the middle. He's a great passer. He's got good ball retention. Like, maybe it's him. Like, there are so many questions bound up in it that I think the De Bruyne one is just really, really hard to answer.
I'm going to say, guys, we have offered him this 1+1 for 250k a week, and he says no. He's seen Saudi tell him
enjoy Saudi.
It's in January, in literally a month's time, Saudi are going, hey mate, here's 500k a week.
Enjoy living in a compound with like 6 other footballers and never going out.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Kevin.
Just playing squash.
I'm sorry, Kevin, but we're not offering you the new deal. We're not offering you the new deal. I do apologise. Okay, James McAtee, 2022. He's 22. His contract till 2026. Happy to keep him.
Sell him.
You think sell him?
Well, he's not ever getting minutes in the City side. He's probably got a bit of value. Genuinely, if someone comes in and offers 25 million, 20 million, sell him.
It's like Harwood Bellis. Like he's obviously a good player. Yeah. But you get offered real money for him and you're not using him. Bye.
Okay. Well, they paid something like 20 for Harwood Bellis. I'm going to say 20 for James. Okay. Jeremy Doku, 22 years old, contract till 2028. Keep him. But you do think maybe another wing is needed?
We'll come to it.
Okay. Jack Grealish, 29 years old, 2027. I think there's a buyer out there for him.
Yeah, I'd sell him. I want. This is slightly driven by personal desire to see him just be the main man at a different club. But I think there's, for some reason, the numbers just aren't like stacking up.
But we have now got rid of De Bruyne, Silva, well, James doesn't really play, but and Nunes. So like the midfield is thin now.
I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter. At a certain point, you've got to rip it up and start again. Like this squad, this is their fault. This squad has started. I take back what I said about not changing too many starters. Like given how given how this season's going, and given the age of the squad actually, and giving the contract situations.
Yeah.
You know, if these contracts were running till 2028, I'd say keep these guys. Like it's fine. But when their contracts are all running out, I do think you've just got to say no. We've basically got 2 years here for Pep to like keep us stable while we turn over the squad, because the squad has quietly got really old, especially in the middle.
Yeah, very old.
And I don't know, like if you can get real money for Grealish, you sell him. He's not going to go there, and he is a bit too old for them to buy him. But imagine him in one of those 2 roles behind the striker at like Man United. Imagine how much he'd cook. It'd be amazing. But I'd only do it for like real money. But City just need to. City, like, you're going through guys here, and it's like 33, 30, 29, 30. Like, these guys, you have to think about what's next. And Grealish is barely playing, so I mean, like, who cares?
I don't know if they would be willing to, like, for instance, Grealish has got a lot of money. Will he want to join? Will he want to leave? And the club that is offering here, are they going to offer us enough? Like, is there a club that's going to offer us 60 million for Jack Grealish?
No, I don't. Why they're not going to ask for 60 million for him though?
Mate, they spent 100 million on him. Like, they're
I think if Villa offered like 40 million, he'd probably agitate for a move back to Villa.
Yeah, I actually think that would be sick as well. I would love that. You don't think that if they said 40 mil and like probably
go back for him?
Half of his wages?
He'll be 30. He'll be 30 basically.
Yeah, it's like an iconic move.
30-year-old player. Do you think that's worth that for them?
Probably depends where they are.
Yeah, like, you know, okay, maybe he plays.
He's better than Buendia. He's better than a lot of their.
Who's on the left wing for them at the moment?
They've used
Bailey's been poor.
Yeah, Philogene
they've used
wasn't great.
Like Rodgers, I guess, has gone out there as well.
Getting the squad younger though. I'm looking at all their signings recently. Like, they did have obviously
this
the
is
first
different.
set
This
was
is
older
different.
signings.
This is the
New
homecoming. The homecoming of Jackie Grealish, who is actually a world-class player, unlike some of the players in their squad.
I get the storyline. I get the narrative. I agree that I actually think the move would be good. I just don't know whether actually Aston Villa would offer us
I think this is a fair point. Like, the idea of a team that can pay a big enough fee to tempt City and big enough wages to tempt Grealish, that's a big question mark.
You are basically relying on Grealish going, oh yeah, I want to go home. I want to go back to Villa. And like, I don't know.
Who are not going to be in the Champions League as well.
like
next season. If it were this season, it would be a different kind of fit.
Plus, like, this is a Villa side who obviously are going to be thinking about trying to like improve the squad and so on and so forth. And like, 40 million is a lot of money.
Yeah,
they've
spent similar money on.
But they spent that on Onana, on a young midfielder. Like,
it's up to you, Zach. I think if the money comes in for Jackie Grealish, then
I don't think Jack Grealish can get sold. I'm sorry, lads. I don't think Grealish can get sold.
I think that's fair enough.
Let me know in the comments.
I actually think that having Grealish in the squad is...
Yeah, if
you can get real money for him, great. But if you can't, then he's a really useful player to keep around. Like, I think we'd all use him more than Pep does.
Yeah. Well, he played in the middle midweek.
He's barely played, though.
Yeah, he has barely played. Phil Foden, 24 years old, 2027. We're not selling him. Savinho, we're not selling him.
Yeah, get him out.
Oscar Bob, obviously he's been injured the whole season, but we're not selling him.
Class.
He is amazing. And finally, Erling Haaland, basically our only striker in the squad. Don't think we're selling him.
Split him in half.
Before we get into players that we want to possibly bring in to replace, we have currently got rid of Ederson for 20 million, Nunez for 30 million, Bernardo Silva for 35 million. De Bruyne has gone for a free. And James McAtee, I've given us 20 million there.
That's like 105.
105. And I had said beforehand, guys, I was going to give you 200 million to spend.
Damn.
So you've now got 305 million. Whoa. Again, before we get onto the transfers...
It's actually quite realistic. I genuinely think this is how
I
much
think they've got a lot of money.
Yeah,
100%. But before we get into the squad, I do want to talk slightly about what we're going to be doing. Because currently, we've mentioned it previously in other podcasts and other videos, City are very focused on getting the ball to Erling Haaland and Erling Haaland giving him the best opportunities to score. Are we still creating a squad around doing that?
No.
Okay, what are we doing, Pat?
We have a squad that's built around doing that, and you need to have more weapons than that. The squad can still do that.
Yeah.
We absolutely need to diversify our shot profile in attack. So right now, it's like Haaland does it. When De Bruyne plays, he gets shots from range, and that is good. And when Rodri comes back, he'll get those shots as well. But right now, they are much more predictable than you want them to be. You know, like Doku has all the talent in the world. He's a great passer. He's an incredible dribbler. He's amazing at carrying the ball into the penalty area. He's just not a goal threat. Savio, I think, probably will be. Like, Savio looks like he's close to making it all happen. You know, you imagine that maybe next season Savio just like blows up.
Yeah.
But even Foden, you know, I don't think that Foden can do it by himself. Foden, when he plays in a team that's really humming, makes the team way better. But Foden, when he's the one tasked with making it hum, I think he's wildly overpraised for that. I think last season people really overpraised him for that. So, yeah, I think you absolutely need a guy who's like a forward who plays wide. Guy like Alvarez, somebody who can either play up front or play probably on the left. That to me is a really important position that you need. I would definitely prioritize that. That's like a major need. Losing Alvarez and replacing him with like nothing / Savio is such a problem for me.
I have a January solution for that as well.
For this coming January.
For exactly what
I don't know if mine is a January solution.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll get onto them as well. Just saying, I want to quickly go into possibly one other thing that we have to be mindful of as well, possibly. The punishments that could be
ignore them. They're not happening. We're gonna beat them in courts. We've got the best lawyers in the world. And whatever happens, we're going to Switzerland. We're going to CAS.
Put it this way,
and there are going to be emails leaked where we've like wished death on all the prosecutors and stuff like that. Like happened with the UEFA one allegedly. So it's don't worry about that, Zach.
Well, I was just going to say, obviously, we're going to do this as if they can spend it in the summer, but there is definitely a possibility they might not be able to. Like they might have a transfer ban. We don't know what happens. They might be in League Two. We don't know what will happen. So we might also see them as well.
I believe that they could find a new way to cheat.
More.
I think they'll be able to cheat in a radical new way.
Okay. Let's get on to the transfers then, Henry. Let's talk about your January one. Who's your?
They should start an academy for accountants. You know, where they should have a lawyer academy and an accountant academy, and like they shouldn't bother with players anymore. You should just like go straight from like a Manchester school into their academy, and then you come out, you just speak in perfect gibberish, and you can lie through your teeth.
Okay, my January signing for up front, quick fix. It's not particularly exciting. It's Jonathan David from Lille. His contract ends at the end of this year. This is the last opportunity for Lille to get any money out of him. They are actually diversifying their attack. If you look at some of the players that have been playing for Lille going forwards, and Lille are like fine. They always seem to find someone else who can go in and do that kind of job. He can play wide. He can play through the middle. He's a proven goal scorer consistently. Actually, like I think he's Lille's record signing when they got him from Ghent or Genk, whichever one it was, and he's just been exceptional for them the whole time. He's at a good age. He's leads the line for Canada at the international level. Has played with like great players there. In terms of being a number 2 to Erling Haaland and with the ability to play out wide and score goals, I think Jonathan David, just go and offer Lille 15, 20 million this January and they will say yes, because financially French clubs are in ruin anyway. Parliament's in ruin as well. They just need to. I think it'd be such an easy win.
So the Zach Jalop here. This is me out of my Man City role. Zach Jalop here. I agree. I think he's amazing. I think he is genuinely fantastic. Season on season gets better. He does personally want to go to Barca. However, we could slap on some zeros onto his contract. I'm sure he'll agree. One thing I do wonder, and there's not necessarily an answer here.
It's good goals.
Why has no one gone in for him? Or why has no one made the risk here? There are much riskier strikers out there who have been bought and proven to fail than Jonathan David. And I can't, for the last... And this is more of a question to you guys as well and to everyone here. I can't understand why no one's gone for him yet. Like, okay, yeah, his contract's going to end at the end of the season. I get it. But why is no one... There's not even been solid rumours that our club has made a good offer for him.
I think he should have gone to like West Ham or something, a year or two ago. But he's
it's really odd.
I think people just doubt whether he can be a centre forward for a team that dominates possession at the highest level. Like the thing is, he's quite positionally versatile, but that's actually diminished as he's got older. He's become much more of a striker, and he's not a big guy. He's quick, but he's not like that quick. He's a good passer, but he's not like absolutely amazing creative passer. He also doesn't get that many shots. He's never been a high shot guy. He's a high XG per shot guy. So he'll get like really good chances.
It's clinical.
Well, no, it's not.
You're saying? Sorry.
It's not that. Okay. It's that the shots he gets are high value. Well, that's something that often you see in crappy teams. Like, I mean, Lille aren't crappy, but you know what I mean. Like, as in,
they're a good team.
They're fine, but it's actually quite hard if your team has possession all the time for you to get those really, really high value chances, because there's just always a load of congestion in the area. And the question is, can he find space against elite defenses when they're not playing on the counter, for example? I don't really know. To me, it would have made sense for him to go to Germany. Definitely, he could have gone to Dortmund like 3 times. That would have made sense.
He's still not that old, is he? 26.
But I still always kind of looked at like Spurs as maybe like the top level for him. The Barcelona rumor, I actually think makes a load of sense in different ways, because I think there are a bunch of tactical reasons why that would work, but I still wouldn't expect him to be like making the difference for him
Lewandowski
in like against Real Madrid or in the Champions League. So I don't know. I think that's the reason. I do think he's a good player. I think it's a pretty low risk move.
You'd be happy to sign him for City,
but he's clearly like an inferior version of Alvarez.
Yeah. Okay.
Inferior.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, are we happy? We're going to give. I'm happy to give him the sign off to be signed in January. I don't necessarily think.
I have an alternative.
Okay. All right. Who'd you like to go for?
I don't know if you get him in January, though he might be gettable. But absolutely, Manchester City should sign someone they've been interested in for a while, Rodrigo from Real Madrid. Rumours are that Real Madrid would let him go for 50 to 60. Maybe it's a bit more, but I still think it's going to max out at 70. He turns 24, I think, in January. And he wants to play on the left. He's never going to get a chance to do it at Real Madrid. He's never had a chance to do it. His best performances have been when he's played in a front two with Vinicius. He actually started up front for Real Madrid against Getafe the other day, like properly up front. He's played on the right. He's played up front this season. He will never get to be on the left.
Yeah, ever.
But despite playing out of position, his expected goal numbers have been incredible the last couple of years. Like last year, I think he was at like 0.7, 0.8. His shot numbers have really popped over the last couple of seasons, getting over 3 shots a game, which to me is like the main thing. The one thing this guy needs to do is be a shot getter. But the thing is, Rodrigo does that while doing loads of other stuff. He's an elite ball carrier. Like he gets loads and loads of progressive carries. He carries the ball into the penalty area over 3 times a game, which is ridiculous. Really elite. Like that's like Grealish level, and Grealish is amazing at this. Yeah, he is successful in the dribble. He presses really well, which actually is something that City have slowly lost from their starting players. They just don't have elite pressers anymore, especially as the midfield has got slower and older. I just think Rodrigo can pretty much do everything that you want him to do. He's a good age. He's played for a great club already. And I don't think the price would be exorbitant because I think Real Madrid are going to look at the squad next summer and say,
who do we get money for here?
We're bringing a bunch of guys on big wages. We're going to pay them huge signing on bonuses. We also still have this issue on the right hand side. And as much as we like Rodrigo playing actually on the right in a 3, he's not going to do that for us. So they already have got a problem fitting all their talent into that front line. Yeah. To me, it just feels like they'll say they've been talking about selling him for a while. I think Rodrigo will go, and Manchester City are absolutely the club you should go to.
Okay. Wow. You know what we'll do? We'll put them all down, and then at the end we can look how much money we've got, where we want to put our funds down. Now, I think Rodrigo. Like, I agree that I do think Real Madrid kind of can't say, oh, we're sticking to this price and that's what you have to pay, because they are in a situation where one player is going to be unhappy.
But I'd go as high as 70, honestly. If I'm Man City, I just don't care. 70.
Okay. I will put down 70 as the price.
70 million.
I think that's quite reasonable. Very reasonable. So currently
you've basically done a swap of Alvarez. You've done a swap of... You've got Rodrigo and a bit of money for Alvarez.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good, in my opinion. No, that's totally fine.
Okay, so I'm going to write them down, all of them, and then we're going to go through them and approve which ones for the fees as well. So currently we've got Rodrigo for 70 and Jonathan David for 20. Henry, who's a player that you'd like to suggest?
Okay, let's go back to the defence. I've got a very young centre-half who can step out into the middle. This is a summer signing. It's Giorgio Scalvini of Atalanta. He is brilliant. He's 6'4", so he fits the mould of like a big beast. That seems to be the kind of direction that we're going in terms of defensive stature. But he can dribble. He can play out with the ball. I think his technical ability is stunning, and he's very comfortable playing out, whether it's passing, attacking, sort of breaking the press, whatever. I think there's loads of positives about Scalvini. He's only 20 years old. He's been coached by Gasperini now for most of his career, which is, I think, like a big green tick at this point. And yeah, he's playing in a great Atalanta side that don't concede that. They score a lot, and they don't even concede that many goals either. Like, they've got the best goal difference, I think, in Serie A. Like, they could genuinely win it, and I think he's a really big part of it. Strong in the tackle, reads the game really, really well. You can see that in like his interception levels. The future of Italy's back line alongside Bastoni. I think this guy's great. And he can play in holding midfield, which is a really big bonus. He's sort of like, if we're getting rid of John Stones, getting in Scalvini is a really good...
So I like Scalvini. I really do.
What are you going to say?
Isn't it worrying that he's come back from an ACL injury in 4 months, basically?
Maybe it wasn't a full tap.
Yeah, maybe it was just a little prick.
Exactly.
They wouldn't do it, Zach. They wouldn't play him unless he was fit.
I know.
We wouldn't be able to run.
But they're like it does, and also a 20-year-old doing an ACL. There has got to be a bit of worry.
People recover from ACLs really well now. Like there are people who do them in like where you get them in another knee or something, you know. But generally speaking, people recover. We know so much more about ACL recovery now than we did like 10 years ago. We know what the timeline is. We know what players come back at. I don't know. I don't worry about that too much. It's not like my dream.
Yeah.
But having an ACL injury is not like being injury prone. Having consistent like muscle injuries or even having like turf toe, like things like that, or back problems, like those things don't go away. They just last forever. There are people with toe issues where it lasted their whole career. Back issues lasted their whole career. Whereas people come back from ACLs and broadly they're fine.
Okay. I'm just thinking as well in terms
You're
of...
no more likely to get another ACL if you've had an ACL. You know,
Yeah.
which is really the question. Whereas if you've had hamstring injuries, you're more likely to have more hamstring injuries. Someone like Eder Militao, who's had 2 ACL injuries, like that is terrible luck. But it's unlikely that the second is related to the first.
Okay. Contract until 2028.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Rumours
Doesn't matter.
of the fee apparently last January, United were quoted at 51 million.
That's not bad.
I was thinking that
Very good.
sounds a bit unreal, does it not?
Oh, that's good.
Well, what, like you can't believe?
As in, I
they
can't
said-
believe that would be 51 million.
Yeah, because I think he's a better prospect than Hoyland was when they charged 70 mil for Hoyland.
55 million is what I'd pay for Mr. Scalvini.
I think it's going to be a little bit more than that. Surely. I reckon... How much did they pay for Hoyland?
72, something like that, wasn't it?
I think it's probably close
Hoyland.
to that, yeah.
No, he's a centre back though.
It's January as well,
He's a
though,
centre back.
but it's January.
Oh, I don't. I'd be like again.
He's
Again.
better.
Again.
And he's
I
an
said,
actual regular.
Again,
Hoyland
I
hasn't
doubt.
played
I
that
doubt they'll sell him in January. I'm more looking.
Oh,
for,
sorry, summer. Okay.
If you
All
want,
right.
if you want an immediate one, I think you could get. I'll put down David Hanchko from Feyenoord. I think he'd be an interesting one. He can play at centre back. He can play at left back. He's like was main part of Arne Slot's system. He's 26 years old.
Hanchko, yeah?
Yes, I think he's really.
Or like Gonzalo Inacio or Nico Schlotterbeck. Like there are left-sided centre-backs around, and Schlotterbeck has also played left-back. Like these guys exist. Like Jorel Hato at Ajax.
Inacio
You know,
definitely.
I think he's a bit too young
Would
for him.
Dortmund sell Schlotterbeck in January? Do you think?
Doesn't have to be
Not
January,
in
though.
January.
You are right. We can do
Maybe
this
not
summer. We can do
January.
these summers.
So I don't think they can do
Um,
anything serious this season.
I think Feyenoord would have no choice but to sell if City came knocking for
Yeah.
one of their star players.
Okay, all right. So Hanchko was saying, how much do you think Hanchko would cost?
30 million.
Okay, we'll put 35 just for just because that's the other thing. Well, also we've got to remember as well in the summer, every club knows City's going to want to spend, and everyone knows City's going to have lots of money, so they can very much kind of pump up that.
But you're less
pump up that
desperate in the
price.
summer. Even when in the summer, you never look as desperate as you look in January.
No, of course. Slotterbeck would be expensive. He would be expensive. I think at least like probably closer to the Scalvini numbers. Maybe 60, 50.
I don't
50
know. I don't
maybe.
know about his contract. But you know, whatever.
And then Inacio, I think Inacio might be an easier buy,
Yep.
Might not be too bad. Again, maybe closer to 50.
I think he's got a
40.
buyout. I think he's got a 60 million euro buyout. Like
60.
yeah.
Okay.
So maybe you pay that, or maybe you get him for less. Like who knows?
Okay. All right. Nice. We've got kind of our defenders there. That's a nice place to be. Do we want to look at goalkeepers then? We've sold Edison.
No.
No.
So we're just going to go Ortega, you're a starting goalkeeper. Scott Carson's the bench.
That's
No,
not-
no. If Edison goes, you get a keeper, but you just go and try and get Diogo Costa, or you
Okay.
go and try and get Verbruggen. I don't know. You just do whatever. It doesn't matter. Just get somebody for a couple of years.
Diogo
Like
Costa.
who's available and is like 30 and can give us 2 years good service. There'll be those guys around.
Mike Maignan.
So, for example, like Barcelona have been using Iñaki Peña.
Yeah.
Like Ter Stegen will come back, and by that point, Peña will be like, "I've been Barcelona's starting goalkeeper for a year. Like, I want a move, and you can probably go and take him."
What would the
Or
okay?
Juan
What,
Garcia, who I think is he at Espanyol, the guy that Arsenal tried to get this summer
Yeah.
and then like couldn't get the deal done for. He's young. He's like 23.
how much money then would you give to the goalkeeping slot? I think that's maybe the category. Did you say like 35 mil, 40
yeah,
mil,
probably.
40 mil?
It just doesn't matter, mate. None of
Anyone
this
that
is
can
real.
pass
This
with
is all
anyone that
magic
can
money.
anyone that can pass with the back. Okay, and then our midfield.
Ramsdale.
Our midfield. Well, to be fair, no. Earlier we were talking about a right back.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, and we've seen the rumours that apparently Man City have been sounding out Jeremy Frimpong, which isn't quite like a right back, much more of a winger. Obviously, he was previously part of their academy. Is that the line you're going down, Pat, or do you think there should be someone else?
I don't care, man. Like the problem is like with Frimpong, I think people love the fact he's really fast, and they're like they can make him their Kyle Walker replacement. Like no one's going to be able to do that. Though Kyle Walker was also not that player when they signed him. He was just like a good right back. And when they paid 50 mil for him, people were like, 50 mil for Kyle Walker? Are you serious? I mean, he was once like young player of the year, but he hasn't really kicked on the way we wanted him to. And then he turned into like this amazing like shut down defender who was just like this extra line of defense behind your back line. Frimpong, I mean, maybe you can train him into being that, but he certainly isn't that right now, and he isn't even a normal right back right now. So if you want to go and get him, like,
it's gonna cost you.
Like, great, but like I don't know if is he even in like the top 3 players I would want from Bayer Leverkusen if I'm Man City?
Yeah, I'd tap Soba.
No.
Tap Soba down as well.
Yeah, I'd
tap Soba.
Palacios, Wirtz. Like, there are loads of guys. I don't know. Like, Frimpong's fine and everything. Like, in fact, I think he's really good. But, like, I don't think that he's...
Maybe make a move to a 3 at the back. You bring someone like him in, you kind of maybe does that force you to go to 3 at the back, and then if all their centre backs are fit, it might work.
That's one attacker fewer, which like for Pep probably doesn't really matter that much. So like maybe, but I don't know. Like then you're talking about a really radical squad rejig.
Yeah.
Like I think they'd be fine. They'd get loads of traction out of Frimpong. But to me again, I think, what are we doing here? Like, is our plan that we're going to get Frimpong shots in the box the way he gets them at Leverkusen?
No.
That just doesn't seem like how I would try and maximise Manchester City.
Unless they just played him as right winger, which is also...
But again, like, then you're playing a right-footed right winger, which to me exacerbates the problem you already have with Haaland. You might as well play Doku there.
Yeah.
Like, Doku and Frimpong are actually very similar in lots of ways. They're really good ball carriers. Doku's better as a ball carrier and better as a passer and worse as a shot getter. But if you played him on the right wing and said your job is to just like beat your man and get a cutback, Doku could definitely do that, I think. I think he's kind of wasted on the left where he would just never get good shots of his own.
Okay, all right, well, we'll maybe come back to that in a bit. Midfield.
Okay.
Go on, Hennes.
I've got a luxury option, mid option, and then, 2 hard options.
Okay, go through. Hit the names
out. Florian Wirtz is just nailed on. We're giving 100 million to Bayer Leverkusen, and we're taking Florian Wirtz, and he's the future of the centre midfield of the attack.
What's Foden going to be then?
I don't care. He's going to be on the left. We're going to play him on the left still.
He never plays on the left.
Or the right. I don't mind. He can fill in Bernardo Silva's role on the right for now.
All right.
Okay?
Sure.
Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle.
Expensive. I do like...
And he's now, 27?
Yeah, but Pep really likes him.
He's
a versatile...
70, man, if not 80.
He could play alongside Rodri, though, which is
100.
good. He could play instead of Rodri or alongside him, which is something that you want.
Newcastle's money situation is intriguing. I feel like they need a bit of money in the bank just to... Like, he's almost done his time, I would say, at Newcastle.
He's costing you, though. How many years has he got left on his deal? Because he's costing...
Some.
He's going to cost genuinely.
It's going to cost you.
Yeah, you say that again. He might cost like maybe 100.
No.
Sign Baleba.
No, I knew you were going to say that.
125 mil. Boom.
Whole midfield.
And as I said, I was
2028.
I was talking to Pete Dorman about this on our podcast
2028.
last night. I was talking to Pete Dorman about this on our podcast last night, and I was like, if we're talking like 9 figures for a midfielder, go to Real Madrid and say, what do you want for Camavinga? And they'll probably say, go away. But if you say, okay, here's £100 million for Camavinga, they might be interested. They might be. And if they say no, that's absolutely fine. But if I'm going to spend, if I'm talking about like spending 9 figures on Bruno, then I'd much rather say, can I get like Camavinga for that money first? And if they say no, I don't worry about it. But
I agree with
I'd
Pat.
be interested.
How much has Camavinga played this season?
He's
played quite a bit. But he's been injured. So that's kind of an issue. But he's also played, he's played left back before.
Tchouaméni's still ahead of him,
He's played in a two. No,
Or not as much
Tchouaméni's
anymore.
been out as well, and Tchouaméni is now kind of like playing a lot of centre back, or they want him to play a lot of centre back, except that he's been out. So I don't know. Now that Raul Sencio has come in and he's playing centre back, maybe Shu goes back into midfield. But Shu in midfield is seen as disposable. They're like, well, we've got Camavinga, we've got Bellingham, we've got Valverde, we've got Modric. They've used Ceballos in the last 2 games quite a lot.
And you'd much prefer getting Camavinga than a Tchouaméni?
Yeah, I think I'm not. They're going to charge a huge amount for Tchouaméni, and he's really good. But Camavinga is younger, and to me is like super special.
And he can play also with Rodri.
He also only cost them like 30 million. So I suppose if you're looking at where they would get profit for their books. The other names I had were Morten Hjulmand of Sporting Lisbon.
Yeah,
he's brilliant. He's been brilliant since he came there. He's actually one of the highest rated defensive midfielders out there. 25 years old. Adam Wharton at Crystal Palace. I thought that could be an interesting option. Or even I had
coming back from a groin injury.
Ruben Neves. If you could tempt him back from Saudi Arabia, I thought he'd be a good central midfield option. So I know to go from Saudi to Premier League, but sometimes it seems to be actually quite easy to buy players out of Saudi.
Yeah, after they've done a little bit of time there, you can get them back.
So those were the options I had: Bruno, Hjulmand, Neves, or Adam Wharton. But is Wharton ready for the?
Well, I also wouldn't want to. I liked what we saw with Wharton last season. I do think though, like he's coming back from an injury. Let's maybe. I think they're hoping for him to return by like February. So hopefully we could then see his like 4 months back in the Premier League, and if he's still able to kind of get back to that level and he doesn't pick up any more injuries, because he's had surgery on his groin if I remember correctly. So any other names you want to throw into the hat before we?
Enzo Lefebvre, who went to Roma but hasn't played as much as you like, and I think is amazing. Like Enzo Lefebvre would be an interesting one. I think they definitely are interested in Angelo Stiller from Stuttgart, who's one of the few guys in Europe who sort of passes at levels that approach Rodri. It depends. You want to go more attacking, you want to go more defensive. There aren't that many lights out defensive midfielders around now because they go like. There's a guy called Rovella at Lazio who I think is really good. They could look at him. I think a load of the guys they've talked about in the press, like Rocco Reitz, are just like not ready for Man City. They're just not. I don't really see why he's been rumoured at all. But if they went and got Ederson from Atalanta, he's slightly older than I want. He's 26, and I do think you could just like get a younger player here. But Ederson would be great. He'd be totally good midfielder for them who would solve a lot of problems. So obviously there we're looking at summer, not January.
Yeah.
But Atalanta will be reasonable in the summer if you want to like put in a decent.
Go for a duo.
They sold Coop Miners for like 50 million.
Yeah, they do. They do. I mean, they do sell. Definitely.
Is it Bellanova as well, who's like their right wing back, who also I think is really exciting. He's fantastic. If you wanted an attacking right back, I think he could just do that, and he steps into midfield quite a lot as well. Like he already plays quite an inverted role, playing for obviously like a super smart manager, as Henry was saying with Scalvini. Like any of those guys are really cultured, athletic, interesting young players. Not too young. Bellanova I think is 23, 24.
Okay, all right. Let's put some money at places then. Are we happy to spend 100 million on Florian Wirtz?
Yes.
Would you do it, Pat?
What? I mean, like, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Pat, what's your reservation?
Well, I just don't know what we're doing with Foden. And like...
we got Oscar Bob coming back as well. That's
Florian Wirtz is better than Foden. I agree. Like, Foden is considerably overrated, in my opinion. But, like, Foden is still a very, very, very good player who Man City are committed to. And you can't just bench him. And if you play him on the right... then you're like kind of relegating Savio to the bench, and I think Savio looks really good. I don't know.
You've also got Oscar Bob, man. Oscar Bob looks good, man.
Bro, I don't care if I never see Oscar Bob play a minute. Like, I'm Sheikh Mansour.
Oscar Bob's a good player, man.
Yeah, Pat's got a point on this.
Or what's Khaldoon? Like I'm Khaldoon, and I'm just like, who is that? I don't care about that. I don't care. I don't care about the rule of law, and I don't care about Oscar Bob.
Okay.
Look, I would like to see Oscar Bob play as like a neutral, normal person, but Man City have not really given a shit about their academy at any stage during this project.
I think this season was going to be huge for him. If it wasn't for that injury, literally just beforehand.
I agree.
I think it would have been huge.
I agree. I don't think it's anything to do with the player. I just think it's to do with Man City. And I could just see him leaving and going somewhere else, a bit like go Spurs or something, be really good.
Okay. I don't think City would sell him, genuinely. I think they rate him so highly.
Well, people also said that though about Palmer, and they said it about Harwood Bellis, and they've routinely done these things.
Good point. Good point, well made. Okay, 100 mil done onto Florian Wirtz. Welcome to the side.
Yes.
He's holding up the shirt. Pat, you can do the photo with him.
Yeah.
Okay, 205 million left. Who else do we want to spend it on? Well, we've got to bring in a goalkeeper. We've got to bring in a goalkeeper.
Do we?
We have to. We've sold Edison for 20.
No, we don't.
Or we can take Edison back for 20.
Let's do the other positions and we'll see how much money we got left. And then
Doku's going in goal. John Stones is going in goal. He looks like a goalkeeper.
Do we want to spend 70 on Rodrigo?
Yes.
I actually quite like the idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Rodrigo, 70, you're in.
Okay, this doesn't leave us a lot of money.
We now have... We spent 170
got
or 305.
If we're getting Wirtz, let's leave Rodrigo till the end.
Okay.
Let's do Wirtz first. Let's address the actual positions of need.
Jonathan David. 20
And if
million.
we've got money, then we'll come back to forward.
Okay. So we need to bring in a defender. Scalvini, I'm putting at least 60. Inacio, I'm putting at 60. Hancher, I'll put at 35. Slotterbeck.
I don't think Schlotterbeck is going to leave Borussia Dortmund.
Okay, then let's take him out. So we've got 3 options there for a defender.
Pat.
Scalvini.
Scalvini for 60.
Yeah, he's the best.
Scalvini for 60.
And he's 20 years old.
Scalvini for 60. Welcome to the side. So we've spent 160. Again,
Light work.
we probably need an attacker.
So we've got 145
We've got
left.
145. We need a goalkeeper. And we could do with a midfielder.
We don't need a goalkeeper.
We could do
We'll
with
just
another
keep
midfielder.
Edison if it comes to it.
Okay.
Yeah,
But then we'll have less money.
Yeah,
Then
well,
we'll
Yeah,
have
that's
less-
20. So Edison's costing you 20 mil, basically.
So then we'd have 285. Okay, but we wouldn't have to deal with a
need to
keeper.
get some
Yeah, because
midfielders
any keeper's going to cost us more
Alright.
than 20. So we'll keep Edison.
Edison's staying now.
So that means we've got 285. And how much have we spent? We've spent 160.
So it means you've got 285
So you've got 125 left
Yeah.
for a midfielder
and a forward.
and maybe another forward. Okay, that's fine.
So how much did you say? 125. And okay, some of the names you said: Bruno G, Camavinga, who would be costing us about 100.
I think we have to park the Camavinga idea.
Hjulmand, I think it's around 50 mil. I reckon Hjulmand should get 50.
I think Hjulmand's a good idea. He's an actual defensive midfielder. And he's going to be
Ruben
cheaper than the other
Neves might
guys.
be an interesting one. Enzo Lefebvre. Edison at Atlanta, I think, would also cost you 50, but the issue is you've just got Scalvini. Will they be willing to part way
Not
with
my
2 players? Who would you like to go for there? Hjulmand, Edison.
This is a horrible list. But also you do this separately. You do this in January rather than the summer. So
I would go for Hjulmand in January, personally.
I'd go for Stiller in January.
Okay. How much would Stiller cost, do you think, Pat?
January markup, Stuttgart in the Champions League. He also can't play for you in the Champions League, which is a bit of a problem. But probably 50 to 60.
Okay, so they're both about 50.
And he's 23, which I like. Hjulmand's a little bit older, I think.
Hjulmand's, I think 25 maybe, 26.
Too low.
Schulman, Stiller, 50. We'll go with Hjulmand.
Wow.
And that's 50.
50 mil. They're both 50, doesn't it?
So what are we at? 210.
So we were at 125 before that. We've taken off 50, so we've got 75 left.
So that's perfect
For
Rodrigo, money.
Yeah.
So what we've added in the summer is we've added Rodrigo, we've added Florian Wirtz, we've added Hjulmand in midfield, and we've got
Scalvini.
Rodri coming back, obviously.
Yeah. And Scalvini.
And we've got Scalvini. It's pretty good.
That's a good window.
that is a
That's
pretty-
good. That's City fixed.
And
That's
do you know
two-
what?
two good windows.
We might find 20 mil down the back safer for Jonathan David.
if you can get Zubamendi for 60 rather than Hjulmand for 50, do you do that instead? If he'll say yes.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Zubamendi.
I think they probably do that if he
Isn't he going
says
to?
yes.
He's going to Liverpool though. He's going to Liverpool.
Is he though?
Why?
He could have gone to Liverpool this summer.
Why would
But he
go to-
changed his mind.
Did
he
he?
changed because he's the pull of the Basque country. You know,
Yeah, Pep probably is a bit,
Then
bit
why
more
does he
the
go
ball.
to Liverpool now?
because he's realised that because Sociedad are not like
But
competing.
he could
for
go in
Champions
January
League
if he
football
wants
this year.
to. Like he could still go in January. Like that same.
I
release
think
clause
I
is there.
think stick with Hjulmand's and pick up Jonathan David for 20 million.
we can find 5 million down the safer for Rodrigo. at 70.
I think that I would definitely try and do Zubamendi over Hjulmand.
Okay.
If I can get him in January, because I think he can also play alongside Rodri more easily once Rodri's back. I don't know if Hjulmand can do that.
I concur with Pat.
All right. You know what, lads? And then I'll give you, from my wages at City, I'll give you the extra little bit of 5 million.
We'll just
whatever
sell a
is
kid.
needed.
We'll
10
sell
million.
Simpson Pusey.
Yeah,
for
sure.
5 mil. Done.
Okay, so there you have it. The way that Man City have been fixed here is by keeping Edison in goal. Scalvini is joining the club. Florian Wirtz, welcome as well. We saw the photo earlier. Henry as well, got the same kind of haircut as him.
Oh, yeah.
Zubimendi is joining.
We didn't sign a right back, by the way.
We didn't sign a right back.
We've just got Rico Lewis.
Lewis, keep going, mate.
That's fine.
And then Rodrigo up top.
So our team is probably Ederson,
Yeah.
Walker / Rico Lewis, then Stone / Diaz.
Yes.
What, Diaz?
Yeah, Diaz.
Then we've got Scalvini, Gvardiol. That's our back line.
Yeah.
Our midfield is
Rodri
Zubimendi.
Yeah.
Rodri Zubimendi.
Verts.
And then ahead of that, we've got some combination of Rodrigo, Doku, Wirtz,
Foden,
Savio, and
we never sold Grealish.
We're back, baby.
We didn't sell Grealish.
Grealish, and
Well, I think we should sell Grealish.
and Haaland.
I think we should sell Grealish.
And Oscar Bob.
Yeah, but that's City, isn't it? It's all about having options.
Did we keep De Bruyne?
We didn't keep De Bruyne, no.
Ah, good fuck.
Okay, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. We have fixed Manchester City there. Let us know what you guys would have done with £305 million in the... Oh, no, 285 actually, in the end.
Call it 300 mil.
Call it 300 mil. Yeah, exactly. Let us know what you guys would do with that. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Henry, if people at home want to check you out, what can they do?
Football Joe.
Indeed. Make sure you go over there. It's linked down below. Patrick Van Straten.
The Transfer Flow podcast can be found on YouTube or on any podcast app. And Unseen Incidents with me and Pete Dorman, that's on your favourite podcast app.
There we have it. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. We'll catch you guys next week. Bye.